We want to look now at a graph that's related to the circle, and obviously it's related because when we call it a semicircle, it's got a relationship to the circle. Now, the graph of this function is in this form. So if you see something where you've got y equals to the square root of a number, any number, so it might look like it's squared, but it might not, it might just be a number, minus x squared, then that's going to give us a graph of a semicircle, and that's going to be above the x-axis. Has a center of 0, 0, and a radius of r. So there's what we're looking for. So how does this result come about? Well, really, if we just look at the graph of the circle, x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared, and y squared equals then r squared minus x squared, and we take the square root of both sides. Now we take the positive and negative square root of it. So, and we just said the positive square root was above the x-axis. So if we see the negative square root, that's going to be below the x-axis. So, square root of 4 minus x squared, well, the radius there would be 2. That's really what we've got to look for there. So when you see the center is going to be 0, 0, radius is going to be 2. So that's where our semicircle is going to be. If that was a negative in front, it would be below the axis there. And you can see together, the positive and the negative square root would make up the full circle, which makes sense because it goes back to that part there. What we should be noticing is that, firstly, that the circle, we know, wasn't a function. We got a relation when there's more than one y value for every x value. But when we take the semicircle now does become a function, because we can only get one y value for every x value. So that's something we need to note about the semicircle there. So graphing these ones, again, all we really got to look for is what's the radius, because they're all going through the center 0, 0. So if we get 25, there's a number there, our radius will be 5. 9 gives us a radius of 3, and the negative means it's going to be below the x-axis. So we're just drawing up at that half of the circle, and whether it's above or below the x-axis, and where's the radius. So minus 8 and 8 there, because the radius was 8 from the 64, and it's 8 up here. And then 100 would give us a radius of 10, as we can see, and it's negative, so it's below the axis. So they're the three things you need to do. You need to recognize the y equals the square root of r squared minus x squared. So you need to recognize that form, and then be able to go, okay, that's going to be a semicircle. And then what are the key features? What's its radius? And is that above or below the x-axis? If we can do that every time, it shouldn't be too bad to draw any graph of a semicircle.